Greetings, listeners. My name is Astrophil. I'm an astrologer and space-time diviner, practicing a grounded approach to the heavenly ecosystem. And this is Astrocast. Welcome, and thank you for riding along. Good day, good people. I'm speaking to you from my front porch. It's a drizzly day. Talk about the lunar nodes today, particularly trying to balance them out. When I was learning astrology, just like a lot of you are learning astrology, and I mean, of course I'm still learning, we're all learning all the time. I was introduced to this idea that south node is the past, the north node is where you should be headed in this life. I think it's an idea that emerged from evolutionary astrology when that was a thing. I mean, it's definitely still a thing, but when that was more emergent, that seemed to really catch on. People have really grasped onto that. It must be all over the internet because everyone who I talk to seems to think that south node is past, like your past life, and north node is where you should go in this life. Like it's a clear, linear shot. And I bought that for a little bit, and then I just stopped buying it. I knew that there was more to it. Life's just not linear like that, and I'm not even sure about the idea of evolutionary astrology, that we're here to improve or anything like that. I don't know that past life to next life is linear. I don't know that time outside of how we experience it in our bodies is linear. So I don't want to restrict anything, especially the way that I view the planets and the nodes of the planets, the nodes of the moon. I'm speaking right on the eve of a big total lunar eclipse where the sun is on the north node, the moon is on the south node. And so it seems like a good time to talk about it. That really matches, the sun being more north node oriented and the moon being more south node oriented. The sun being bright, shining, ambitious, moon being receptive, soft, caring. I think both are valuable. Look, I was born right after a solar eclipse, and the sun conjunct my south node. I feel like I can be a voice for the south node when it's not really understood very well at all. Again, I'll tell you, I do reject the idea that one is the past, the other is your future, and you should be moving on from one which is native to you toward the next. I completely reject that. And I'd like to tell you what's going on today for me and how it's just really relevant right now. You've heard of Rahu and Ketu, the dragon's mouth, the dragon's tail. Think of it also as something like a faucet and a drain. So we've got two sinks in our house, bathroom sink, kitchen sink. I just got done clearing both sinks. They're both clogged. Today they decided to both be clogged. I've never ever cleared a clog from the kitchen sink. I wasn't there when it clogged. I just came to wash a dish and it was filling up. I'm visiting all over the plumbing situation and I find the clog is right under the sink. The bathroom sink, I occasionally need to cleanse that. For both of them to come up on the same day is really interesting. When I'm here to talk about the south node and the north node, think of the north node as the faucet, turned on, by the way, all the time. So, the water is going full blast. The south node is the drain. It needs to receive that water. It needs to move that water somewhere else. If the south node's not functioning, the sink is useless. Just like if the plumbing's not working with the water coming in, if the north node, the faucet's not functioning, the sink is useless. You need both. You don't emerge from the drain and go up into the faucet and follow the plumbing to wherever your water source is. That's not really how the thing works. Another thing clogged in my house today too. My chimney. So we heat with wood, and it's toward the end of winter. This might be one of the last days that I have to run the wood heater, and this has never happened before. I've been working with this stove since 2020. This has never happened before. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the chimney where it's just not drawing air and smoke, and the house has been filled up with smoke. I need to clean the chimney. I have to wait for the fire to die down and things to cool off before I disassemble some pieces and sweep them out. I've been burning a lot of black cherry this winter, and that tends to clog chimneys. I'm aware. I was kind of hoping that I'd get through it. We're in March, so it really is the end of the season. I was hoping I wouldn't have to clean it till fall, but I'm going to be cleaning it tomorrow. I just have to let everything die down in the wood stove. Anyway, the fire, the chamber, that's the north node in this situation. The chimney, where the energy exits, is the south node. You need both for it to function. I can have a fire in there, I can light it up, and I did. I lit it up about 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It was dark. I didn't see the smoke, coming into the living room until light shined into the room, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It had kind of slowly built up. I'm not talking about like a deadly amount of smoke, but definitely a disturbance. Just in case you were worried. You can have a roaring fire in that chamber, and you need that updraft or you're smoking your house out. You can't breathe in there. It doesn't matter how warm it is in your house. You can't be in it. You need the energy, and you need the drain. That's what makes it work. Just like the north node and the south node. One other way I want to put the north node is, I've heard it in learning vibrational astrology. This is kind of the way that it was described to me, is like a geyser. So a buddy of mine was actually just at Yellowstone, and I think Old Glory, is that the name of it there? Sent me a video of the geyser going off and described how it's fueled by this deep, significantly unimaginable swell of magma and lava underground that is so pressurized, and it has these holes all over Yellowstone, what we call Yellowstone, and it forces the pressure up and through the holes. If we didn't have the holes, y'all, boom, that's not good. We need those holes. We need those south nodes. There is no north node without the south node, and vice versa. So I'm really just never going to be of the school that we come from the south node. We need to depart that and go to the north node. We need both, and we want to be right in the middle. That's where we can function. You want dysfunction, you go one way or the other. And I find it very interesting that there's such a swell of acceptance of we need to reject the south and go to the north, or reject the chimney and just stay in the fire chamber. Yeah, the fire chamber's hot. I get it. I feel that it is profoundly modern. And it's interesting, too, the way I can tie it to capitalism. I'm not here to shit on capitalism. there's enough people doing that all the time. Just like anything, if it's in balance, it would function just great. All things tend to go out of balance once power is achieved and hoarded. So, it is what it is. But there's a lot of distaste for capitalism currently, all around. Distaste for such things as greed, such things as destruction. And at the same time, in the astrology realm, there's not this connection or this recognition that the North Node is capital. It's capitalizing on everything you can. It's treating the earth, it's treating the people, it's treating all of life in a way that just wants to eat it up. So, I need to cool down a little bit. I want to tell a story going back to the Greeks again. This is a myth of a king named Erysichthon. Erysichthon. King of Thessaly. He really didn't know any limits in his life up to this. His name itself means earth terror. He rips the ground apart, you know. And he wasn't one to walk around with reverence. He just took what he wanted. I'm sure a lot of people envied him. One day, he had a feeling. He needed some timber. He needed some lumber. Didn't really need it. Nothing urgent. He just wanted to build a new feasting hall. Another feasting hall. Sure, he had a feasting hall. He just wanted another one. He needed to feed that creativity. So he took his men to a grove of trees, of oaks, a sacred grove, as all groves are. This one was tied to Demeter in the story. Demeter, the goddess of grain, the goddess of agriculture, the harvest. Later called Ceres in Roman mythology. Heard of her? These trees were old, very, very old, and they were inhabited by nymphs, by dryads, by what we would call fairies, or just spirit, inhabited by divine spirit. They were clearly sacred. They were draped in offerings, ribbons, wreaths, tokens of prayer, you name it. They're just clear. This is clearly a sacred grove. Erysichthon did not care about that. He cared more about, doing the next thing. Why not? You got to keep moving, right? You've got to keep going. Why would you ever just be Erysichthon? You're a king. His men knew something was weird. They didn't really want to get into it. They didn't want the blood on their hands, so to speak. They knew this was a sacred place. So he's like, well, I'll do it myself. I'll show you how it's done. He grabbed an axe. He sunk it into the trunk of the largest oak there. The blade got in there and the tree shook. And sap was just running down. You could call it tree blood running down the trunk. And they heard a voice coming from within. It was a dryad, crying out, begging him to stop. She told him what was up. Told him, hey, this isn't a good idea. Please stop. Find another tree or just ask some questions. Do you really need this? Do you really need me? She said, if you don't stop, I'm going to call my girl Demeter. He said, that is silly. Demeter isn't real, or she's got nothing on me. I'm a king. He kept swinging. He felled the tree. The spirits within expired. And they clear-cut that grove. You know any clear-cutting going on? I see it even out here in Kentucky. I see some clear-cutting. sometimes people feel like that's the only way they can get a dollar is having their land logged. The desperate people. I would hope that they're desperate and not just twiddling their thumbs thinking how they can get a buck. I'm pretty sure they're desperate to do that. The other nymphs who were still alive, they went to Demeter. Dressed in black, they were mourning. Told her what happened. The goddess Demeter said okay. She knew what to do. She was not going to destroy him through death. Demeter called famine, one of the few gods that even the Olympians like to, keep a buffer zone with. She said, Famine, could you visit this fella, Erysichthon, in his sleep? Maybe breathe into his mouth. Maybe get in there, plant yourself in there, make a little den somewhere in his gut, maybe? So Famine said, okay. I wasn't doing anything, and this seems like a worthy cause. And that night happened. He woke up the next morning hungry. Like, really hungry. Very, very hungry. Hungrier than he'd ever been. So he ate some breakfast. He said, cook, make me this. Ate the breakfast. Didn't quench anything. So he ate the next meal. Still nothing. He ate the next meal, dinner. Then a second dinner. Then the midnight snacks. Still hungry, like really hungry. He ate everything he could eat. Everything in his palace. All the stores of grain. All the cured salted meats. All the fruit preserves. He sent for more. He bought it all. He ate that too. What would you do if you were hungry, like, insatiably? I guess you'd have to eat. I can't blame him for eating everything. He sold his furniture. He sold his robes. He sold his horses. He sold his mother into slavery to get money for food. That's how bad it got. And then he got her back. Sold her again. Sold her 3 times. Kept getting her back through his relatives. Finally got to the point where there was nothing left. No money, no possessions, no kingdom, no one willing to help him, no one to know how to help him. And he became a beggar in his own kingdom, hungry. And because he was hungry, there was nothing else left to consume. He began to eat himself. He ate his... this is a myth, y'all. And myth doesn't mean lie necessarily, but it means symbolic story. He ate his own flesh. He ate his limbs. He gnawed his arms, his legs. He consumed his body until there was nothing left of him. He tore himself up. This is the story of the North Node to me. If it was by itself, it is this insatiable hunger. Maybe you guys have heard of Wetico. It's, I think, Algonquin concept. It's like a psychic virus that takes over the human mind and turns our creative genius, our creativity, into this insatiable beast, this devouring mouth. If you were to have Wetico, you would be consumed with consumption as an end in itself. That would be your creative outlet, you could say. You'd be consumed with excess, burying yourself in stuff. Before I started my media fast a few months ago, I got shown this video by YouTube. This professor talking, they all have really catchy titles. They all have graphics and titles that, it's like, oh, I want to learn about that. The title was something like, maybe you've seen it, I don't know. Something like, Consumerism is the Perfection of Slavery. And it tells this story about how around the turn from the 70s to the 80s, we all got convinced to, what I would say, use our creativity in a more consumerist way. Like, we had all the products you could want. It was really, really coming on. at that point, we get fed what we think we want. We don't have to create anything. It's not a creative life, but it feels like a creative life because you're making decisions, your sensory experience is stimulated, you're seeing things you like, you're making, creative decisions at least. You don't learn anything, I mean, it's a false north node, right? You're not gaining anything. Someone else is north noding you. They're gaining. And so the idea is that you kind of get hypnotized into this lifestyle of consumerism. And I can see it all over the place. I see it in the way that we treat each other in our relationships. It's just seeped into everything, every aspect of being a person in modern West. It's the North Node with no South Node. And that's the way I see it. Me, I've got the Sun conjunct the South Node, like I said. Sure, it might benefit me to be less, passive or receptive, but not too much. I'm not going to abandon where I come from if that's the South Node, right? What's the point of abandoning that? That's apparently, according to evolutionary astrology, that's my roots. Why would I abandon my roots? There's nothing wrong with the South Node. It's compassionate, it's gentle, it's peaceful, it's receptive, it loves nature, it loves beauty. It's the balancing agent to all the North Node baloney that's flying all over the place and has completely infected our culture. So check yourself, y'all. If you think that you should go full hog North Node, then yeah, I don't know. Pull back the reins a little bit. Think about that a little bit. The chart's a circle. You're in the middle. That's where you were born. You're born in the center of that wheel. North Node's on one side. South Node is opposite that. Who's in the center? You. You are right between them. You should not be going to one or the other. You should strive for balance between them. Wholeness. You can be the fireplace and the chimney. You can keep your house warm that way. And it can be comfortable. So, say I was born with Sun on the North Node. And I'm out on the internet looking around and it's saying you gotta go to your North Node. You're from your South Node, you gotta go to your North Node. Well, what am I doing? I'm already there. Do I just hang out? Just produce? Just push? Just generate? Just start things? Just go, go, go? Is that what I'm supposed to do? If I'm a Sun North Node? Or if I'm something on the North Node? Do I just push that like a geyser? Just full pressure? Is that what's supposed to happen? Where's the literature saying maybe you might want to go to the South Node if you're a North Nodal being? Maybe you might want to venture that way. Find a middle ground. I'm all about that middle ground. I'm all about temperance. I'm all about balance. And I look around and I see the North Node in basically every institution that we've got, every big institution, just devouring, just pushing for more and more gain. What for? It's not for life. If we want to be truly creative, making life, then we have to do it from a place of balance between the North and South Nodes. We have to embody the center. That's my case. I'm unclogging drains. That's what I'm supposed to be doing today. I'm making the South Node functional. Perhaps you're thinking about it in a new way. It just makes sense, doesn't it? I've got this song in my head right now. Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world. And I'm just playing it on my laptop. Super crude, nothing fancy. I'm not direct plugging it into your speaker or anything. It's a great song. It has 2.4 billion plays on Spotify. That is wild. I am a couple of those, no doubt. Everybody wants to rule the world. That's the North Node way. I hope that you can embrace both the South and the North. You don't need to be ruling the world. You don't need to be eminent domain. You don't need to be manifest destiny. South Node wants to allow things to happen. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of fortune there and a lot of grace and a lot of being blessed. But you have to embrace it. Just like the drain embraces the water. If it's not clogged. What happened to music, y'all? This is a wonderful little melody. Sorry, sounding really old. What a jam. I don't think that I need to put in my usual outro music. I hope this doesn't get like flagged and taken down. But I just want to say thanks for joining me today. Not a long episode, but just a little treatise as I hang out on the porch while my house I've got all the doors and windows open. I'm letting the smoke come out. I got fans going. This has been Astrocast. Thank you for hanging out. You can always subscribe if you want to keep receiving these messages. Which is kind of how I think of this, is like a voice message. And my ducks are hanging out now too. They came over to the porch. Hey buddy. You can share this too if you want to spread some love. You know, my website is outofboundsastrology.com, where you can get out of bounds takes on the North Node and South Node. Love to talk to you, but I'm a South Node guy. You gotta invite me first. I'm not knocking down your door. Okay guys, this is Phil, checking out. You know me, all blessings, all around.